This is going to be a long one. I'm so hoping that I can communicate my point clearly. So we all have these fantasies of glory when we're young. We want to be the football star or the gymnast or the whatever. And what I've observed is that gaming provides lots of avenues of enticement for young people to think that they can esteem themselves, they can set themselves apart from their peers. And it comes in a particularly enticing time, it's in grade school, when school gets hard and you actually have to work and young people are thinking, oh, I can't do this, and I'm not gonna, everybody's smarter than me or whatever. We're making some wrong calculations about ourselves. So I see gaming in particular as this carrot that you can dangle in front of, you know, anybody and say, come follow me, come chase this carrot. And it results in addiction for a lot of people and wreaks havoc in their lives. But behind all this is this need to be number one, the need to be in the spotlight, the need to feel important, um, the association with achievement to personal worth. This is part of who we are as human beings. These are things we all wrestle with, particularly when we're young. Young people are easy to deceive. They're easily confused. They're really easily manipulated. So I want to describe what you're up against if you're a parent or if you're a loved one of someone suffering from addiction. So there's people who are, very achieved. There's just psychologists and scientists and all kinds of people, an army of people who are designing games that are incredibly enticing and that are made to make it very difficult for people to walk away and made to get people addicted. So more than anything I've ever witnessed in my life is just this army of immoral soldiers who are, out to entrap young people in particular and keep them trapped. So, keep in mind that there are people who have done everything in their power to keep your loved one captive, and they don't have any morals. There's no morals associated with what they're doing to make money. One of the ways that I like to frame things is always, a little bit of a picture. So that in the Bible, there's this story of David and Goliath. And I would like you to think of yourself as a Mighty Mouse up against a legion of Goliaths. You can't win this one. You can't win this one. They have absolutely tamped it down and made 100% certain that you're going to fail. But here's where it gets flipped. Here's where we realize the power of the individual, the power of a higher power, of God in the situation, where the real power is. When you admit, hey, I'm just one little person. I'm just Miss Nobody. What do I know? Who am I? Who am I to fight anything? Who am I to take on Goliath? When you kind of come to this place where you admit and you reflect and you're genuine and that, hey, I'm mucking along every day. Every day I fail in certain ways, but every day I pick myself up, I dust myself off, and I keep trying. I keep trying to love the people around me, to love myself well, and to love others well. So what I would like to offer to you is that honesty will deflate the tires in your addict's car. So they can be thinking they're driving down the road in their Maserati and they're flying high, blah, 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 blah. They're living in some alternate reality and they've got a world of people keeping them in that delusional reality. But it's the simplest thing in the world. I see some rich person driving their big fancy car. All I need is a nail to put them in their place. Well, that nail is truth. That nail is honesty. And when you can be vulnerable and you can say, hey, I love you. I'm doing the best I can. I'm sorry. I've judged you. I don't understand everything that's going on. And get in your own corner, that deflates the tires. And that takes the power away from that legion of Goliaths that are after the person you love. And, they're after you too. They won't, yeah, think of that. Why is there always this cartoon with some dude that wants to rule the world? What is that about? Well, yeah, everybody wants to believe they're God. Ha ha ha. Boy, is that painful to have to live around all those little people who want to be gods. So I'm hoping that I could touch on the fact of how you can manipulate a young person's desire to feel important and use it and weaponize it. But that the spiritual truth that's underlying all of this is that we're all precious. We're all precious in the sight of God. And the things that we do, for other people's, scrubbing a toilet, making a meal, keeping a child safe, giving someone a hug, those are the things that set us apart. Not how much money we make, not whether we're, on TV or famous or no, 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 no. That's the world. That's the world of Hollywood, which is a world of lies. That's the world upside down. You don't want to live in that. That's a pack of lies. So here we go, April 7th. Could it be that God has a sense of humor? I attended a new meeting recently at which I had been invited to speak. I had conjured up in my imagination a large group of serious-minded Al-Anon members sitting in the perfect location with the perfect format while I uttered a daunting barrage of wise words. What I found instead was a small group perching in a temporary meeting place with a substitute secretary who had misplaced the perfectly scripted format, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. In short, I soon felt right at home. My higher power had substituted enough familiar, spontaneous elements so that I could feel completely comfortable. My concept of this important meeting and the important words that I would be speaking and hearing had quickly disappeared. We were just a group of members in fellowship doing our best to muddle through and lend each other a helping hand. Today's reminder: I give thanks for the ways my higher power finds to cut my pretensions down to size. When I can laugh a little, I feel less afraid. And here's the quote: I want to remember every time I'm tempted to take a heavy, somber view of a happening that it may not be so bad after all. I'll cultivate a knack for recognizing and enjoying humorous moments. And the quote is one day at a time. I like to say, when you go to a 12-step program, the hope is that you will humbly meet with a group of people that are endeavoring to do extremely hard things. They're trying to take a look at themselves. They're trying to figure out where they went wrong and what they need to do differently, and how to love themselves and the other people around them better. And in that humble setting, you will find greatness. Every time, every time, every moment, you will find greatness. You will. I pray you have the courage to change.